Hey, so this is a precursor to the video that you're about to watch. I recorded the video yesterday because it was kind of on my mind. I had some random thoughts swirling, and so I record all sorts of videos that I don't ever publish for good reason. And I've kind of been sitting on this one because it's so ADD and random, and I just don't even know that it ties together. But then I saw a quote from the Tanner farmstead, and it wrapped up what but this video is about so beautifully. And it kind of made me think, maybe this is a common feeling this time of year, and I think it is. I mean, that's sort of why I recorded the video to begin with. But maybe it's not so random, you know? And then I sat down to watch it, and the pictures of the garden yesterday versus what I walked away from this evening, they're totally different. Totally different. So we homeschool, and we finished school late today. So we didn't get down there until probably 3. We didn't really get started working until like 3:30, 3:45. And then we wrapped up at about 6:30, and we burnt weeds, burnt grass, moved strawberries around and put straw in beds, and just, kind of laid eyes on things again and saw what was there and what we needed. And the burning just made a huge difference. And then I was excited enough that I came home and burnt leaves up here around my flower beds. And anyway, so it encouraged me, I think, to see yesterday's pictures and videos and then see where I left it today and know that this video was in fact true, that it doesn't take much. It's 5 minutes of work isn't even 5 minutes of work. And I mean, this was more than 5 minutes, and it was several people, it was my 2 kids and I, but a little bit of time goes a long way in the way of encouragement, So anyway, it's an exponential value, right? Sometimes I think that when I put a seed in the ground, it's like, this may not be that big of a thing, but if I can just get this seed in the ground, when I see it come up, it's going to excite me enough to plant more. So even if this one seed doesn't produce a whole garden of produce, just the payoff of my excitement later, it's worth it. So anyway, here's my random video from yesterday. Enjoy.
Morning. It's spring. Spring is springing, y'all. So I'm calling it a beauty walk. I'm going looking for pretty things. I came looking for eggs. It is pretty much an Easter egg hunt. Looking for eggs because I've got chickens everywhere, and they lay in all the most inconspicuous places. Like, they don't want to lay in a coop. They want to lay in the dog house, the cat house, in a sideways trash can turned over randomly. There'll just be like a random egg here and there. So bizarre, these chickens. I think they think it's funny, and they're not wrong. So anyway, while I'm out and about and it's beautiful, I'm just looking around. And I've done this the last few days. It's been really nice, and I've just kind of been taking stock. And y'all, this is what I'm looking at here. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I have 12 raised beds, and then I have a plot over here where the coops are. That was really good soil, or it's turning into really good soil. And then I've got what I was going to dub as like the berry section. Like, I don't even know that I can show you how overwhelming these things feel in a camera. I look around and all I see is work. Just a lot of work. My flower beds are a mess. We had the sycamore tree at the corner of our driveway taken down, and the branches were just, dropped right there in the flower bed. My flowers are trying to come up, and you can't see them because they're covered in sycamore limbs. So I pulled those off, but I just piled them on the ground next to the next to the flower bed, and then my flower bed up top, like, you know, it needs to be mulched and all the things need to happen to it. And anyway, so my kids, though, they came home the other day early. They told me they were going to come home and ride horses. Well, they came home and they weeded this flower bed, and they went and got a pile of horse manure compost and laid it in there and worked it in. And I don't know, like, and then they came to it, but well, I'll show you. These tree weeds back here, like, they're weeds, but they are actually trees. They were all in here, and my kids pulled them out. Like, they were so strong, the weeds were, but you know, after they've died back and stuff, they weakened up quite a bit, and my kids pulled them out. And so anyway, they did this in like an hour, and I came home and it just looked so refreshing. Like, oh my gosh, that just made a world of difference. Believe it or not, that it looked worse than this, a lot worse. So it got me kind of excited, and I came down and I weeded a little bit and just started looking around to see what I've got. And last year, I've been itching now for years to plant asparagus. I love asparagus. I want big, beautiful beds of asparagus. So much asparagus, I got to give it away. Like, that's what I want. That's what I need. I need it. And so I planted some last year imperfectly, but I did it. I kind of intercropped them in with strawberries, and then I put them over here. Well, the weeds overtook these. Like, it was crazy. So whatever, I keep looking, you know, thinking, okay, I will have asparagus at some point. I'm not sure when. You know, you're looking at like a 2 to 3 year wait time once you get it in the ground, and that doesn't sit well with my impatient self. So I came down here yesterday, and you know, something about just like the hope of it, right? I'm looking around and I'm seeing garlic popping up that I really thought I got all the garlic the last couple years, but there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 bulbs of garlic. I'm sorry, there's more over here. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, if you could like see them through the grass, 14. And then chives, and I mean, I had pretty much decided and I'm not really even opposed to it, pulling everything out, all the bulbs, pulling out the raised beds, taking the raised beds maybe even to the farm stand, I don't know, and tilling all this in, taking the fencing out, burning everything down, burn all the weed seeds, burn it all down, and just start over. Gosh, till everything in and call it new, because but came down here looking around to see what's alive after this last spring, you know, volunteer seeds and just taking stock. And I saw, and this morning, it's not going to look like much because we got a frost last night, this little bitty asparagus was popping out of the ground. Little bitty fella, isn't he cute? And it got me so excited. I got to looking around at the other ones, and I'm not really seeing a whole lot. There's strawberries in here, and they just, you know, they need to be weeded and loved on. You know, they need stuff added to them and to be treated better. I've been abusive. I've been an abusive gardener. Threw them in the ground and walked away. But anyway, if I can be diligent with my work this year, I think I could see some good harvest, you know. And it kind of just reminded me again, you know, so many times I get ahead of myself. I get overwhelmed. I've heard some call it analysis paralysis, and I have also just decided to call it that too, because it's literally what it is. Like, I just get so overwhelmed with all the things and trying to figure it all out that I end up paralyzed to the point of not doing anything. You know, I'm completely just, it weighs on you so heavy. All of the mental load of it and the overwhelm, it presses you down to the point where you can't do it. And you know, for years I prayed that God would deliver me from the oppression, right? And finally, I think it was wisdom. Sometimes our deliverance comes in the form of wisdom, you know, where we learn how to handle something differently. And gosh, if that's not true of biblical battles, where the battle wasn't always won in brute strength, or, it was usually won with the wisdom of the Lord on their side. And, just following whatever he said. And sometimes it would look real weird, and sometimes it wouldn't, sometimes it would look pretty normal, but most of the time it looked real weird. But it was always wisdom, it was the wisdom from God that won them their victory. And so I feel like, as I've maybe grown in my walk with the Lord, I've learned that a lot of my battles are won through wisdom, and not necessarily formulas, but hearing what God is speaking right now. And so with oppression and overwhelm, and they are two different things, but I feel like overwhelm and oppression do seem to go together. I heard a story years ago, and I've shared this many times, but I feel like it's so profound, and it's something that I've learned to live by. A really good friend of mine shared it, and she was quoting Elizabeth Elliot, and I'm not going to be able to quote her exactly, but Elizabeth Elliot was talking about the moment that she found out that her husband had died during his time as a missionary. And, she hung up the phone and she asked herself, what do I do now? And all she knew to do was to pick up a broom and sweep the floor. And so she did. And then she kind of just kept doing the next thing, just kept doing the next thing. And if you've seen Frozen, where, Anna realizes that Elsa has died and Olaf is gone, and she's all alone in a dark cave, and she's singing the song, do the next right thing. That's what I think about. I don't know what to do. I am overwhelmed with the process. This isn't anything that tragic, thankfully, but when it comes to not being able to see the big picture and work my way functionally through a plan, sometimes I just gotta not think about it and just do something. And so I think about these really imperfect actions that I take that maybe aren't the most well thought out. They don't have the greatest plan. I could have done them better. Someone else would do them better. But in the end, I'm reaping the fruit of it, right? Like, I'm going to get the reward. And so I'm thinking about the seeds that I've planted too late, or the flowers that I've let sit there and stay hidden over sycamore limbs now for months, or things that I should have done at a better time or in a better way that I haven't done. I should have closed this garden off so the chickens can't get in here and eat all my volunteer seeds and whatever, all the things, right, that could have been done differently. But at the end of the day, I can still walk around and see the little bits of progress. So I bought 6 fruit trees last year from our county extension office, and no fault of the county extension office, all but I think 1, maybe, possibly 2, died. It's not funny. It's really not. That's money wasted, time wasted. But I let them sit too long before I planted them. I probably let them sit 4 weeks in bags before I got them in the ground. And then when I did get them in the ground was really hard and rocky, and I didn't give them consistent water through the summer. Like, these ones that have survived, they have survived out of, pure stubborn will, like, not any help of mine. But even in all of that, do I wish that I would not have lost the other 4 trees? Absolutely. Like, hands down. I'm really frustrated about that. But even as imperfect as that was, I do still have a fruit tree. And if I wouldn't have done it at all, I wouldn't have had a fruit tree, right? Like that saying that says you'll miss 100% of the shots that you don't take. So even if it's not perfect, obviously we want to do our best, right? We want to do things with excellence. We want to give it our best effort and do everything heartily as unto the Lord, and put everything we've got into our work and be good stewards of what we have and what we've been given. Those are all really important things, and they're all things that I think about constantly, and I'm pushing towards doing all of that better. And that can be absolutely debilitating whenever you realize that you failed in certain areas, or you've not done things as well as you wish you should have, or or things just don't go your way, like maybe you did do everything that you knew to do and did it to the best of your ability and it still didn't work. It's okay. It's okay. Do it anyway. I think when I think about the long range goals, I'm a little on the ADD side. And so details are a challenge for me. And I do think big picture pretty often, and I struggle to get the details between here and there. I'm always thinking these big grandiose plans and pictures. But when it comes to the details, the working it out, that's where I really have to apply myself and like wrap my head around how are we going to get from point A to point B. And the Lord just really encouraged me last year. I felt like he just like came up under my shoulder and like continually whispered in my ear, like someone helping a limping runner, like, how do we walk, Alex? One step at a time. Just keep doing the next thing. Just take the next step. Just do the next thing. We're not doing anything, super fast here. We're in it for the long game. We're here for the long haul. So just take the next step and grow in patience and grow in wisdom and learn how to function that way. A little challenging, not always quite as fun up front, but gosh, it sure is rewarding to be going through that process with the Lord and to feel his encouragement and to know that we're looking at something down the road here. I haven't even seen it yet, but what I'm gaining right now from learning patience and learning wisdom is far more valuable. It's far more valuable. It's actually really precious. So I don't know. I feel like that was a whole lot of running in circles and maybe not even making a whole lot of sense. But that's where my head's at when I walk into this garden this morning is, oh crap. How am I going to get this thing in shape? Well, one step at a time.